What's up, guys? Steel Frodo here. We are back. We're watching another episode of My Hero Academia Season 3, and oh boy, this was actually a really good episode. This was the build up to them kind of passing their exam for becoming semi pro heroes with their provisional licenses. And what was kind of neat was we saw not just them getting straight into the test, there was a lot more behind it than just, hey, we're in the test now, let's get started. Because we saw how much training the students were actually doing to the point where like they were all very, very worn out. But it was funny too because when the girls were all complaining about how hard they had to work but also talking about how much better they've gotten with using their quirks, we saw that Uraraka is definitely into Deku. She wants the D. Deku. That's what I meant, but because we see her getting very embarrassed when they're like, "Who do you like? Is it Deku or Ida? Who is it?" And we see that she gets very embarrassed by that. But the fun part was that she actually, when she saw Deku practicing his moves and trying to master, whatever Ida does with his moves, she definitely has a thing for him. I liked it. Plus, the music was great. It was like this violin, like very romanticized music. It was hilarious. I loved it. But so there was that. But we also see that Deku is practicing more and more his abilities with shoot style. So he's using his legs, and he's got iron soles in the boots. He's got just a crazy, crazy good amount of like bracing now for his fighting style. And he's now also able to both use, cleats and attack. So he can actually grip and run and move very quickly. So they even see him analyzing with Bakugo's fight style this, quick-moving agility. So he's more oriented on a speed-type hero now. In a way, he's still a very power-based hero. But it was very cool to see that. And even All Might's coming to a realization now with, separate realization that he is now being seen as somebody who needs to be protected, not so much the protector because of his condition, his state now as as a more worn out and now retired hero, which is kind of sad to see. But moving on, we get to see them finally showing up to the hero, testing to become semi-pro heroes to get their provisional licenses. And I was blown away with the fact that like they put a lot of effort even into little characters in this show, which I love. And I don't know if Miss Joke is going to become a major hero, but even just seeing her, it's like they give you this whole little like, this is her quirk, this is her ability. She can make people laugh, and when they can't move, she beats the crap out of them and arrests them, which is kind of cool. And she just like, she alongside Aizawa are the perfect like comedy straight man group. I love it. And he just doesn't play into it at all. And I caught on to this early on in the episode, but we see that the other students from other academies were like, "Oh, we saw you on TV. I'm a huge fan. We saw you fighting in the sports festival. You were great and blah blah blah. That was amazing and all that stuff." And so we see that, but they weren't in the sports festival. Obviously, they were from different schools. It's the UA Sports Festival. So they end up in the UA students end up in this very interesting scenario of they're known by the other students from the other schools. The other students know their quirks. The other students know what they can do and what they have done. And now they're a target. And that was exactly what happened. Aizawa didn't tell any of the students about this, but Miss Joke knew. And from seeing the other students, they were all up to focusing and taking out the UA students, and they call it the crushing of UA. And the test. So the test they're doing involves these balls and these little like lights. So anybody who hits the light with the ball, you have to hit 3 of them, and whoever gets the third hit is the one who gets the defeat or gets the win and claims their defeat. And so it's interesting because somebody can swoop in and steal the defeat or steal the win from another student by 2, and then the last person gets the 1. And we see that each of the students now has to use their abilities as they're being targeted by the other students. And we actually see, which was really cool, one of the kids automatically assumed, it's like, oh, you have a, with Deku, you have a power that will, injure yourself. So let's just target him. And they all threw balls at Deku, and he used shoot style, and he kicked one, and the wind pressure from that one kick blew them all away, which was really cool to see. He's grown so much with his ability, and he said that his attacks or his fight style was kind of a stopgap, and even All Might was like, no, this is more than a stopgap. Like, this is much more. You can definitely use that in your provisional license test. So that was really cool. But then we see, after that, all the other students fighting and, protecting and blocking and all that stuff. And I'm curious to see, because they all did really well. Like, we see Sarah with his tape. We see Mineta with his balls and all that stuff. And it was pretty funny, because I was assuming that it was going to be this kind of like, block, but not really much else. But everybody seemed very proficient in their abilities, which was really cool. So I genuinely enjoyed this episode. We're obviously going to see more of them fighting, but the only 3 that broke off from the group were Bakugo, Kirishima, who follows Bakugo everywhere apparently, and Todoroki. Everybody else stayed in a group. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with those 3. But I'm also more curious to see how this teamwork will kind of play out. Because I even pointed out in the reaction, I point out that the way the other characters that were introduced, the other students were interacting with each other, they don't seem very team-oriented, per se. Like, they seem fairly team-oriented, but not super team-oriented. So I'm curious to see what will happen, how that'll play out. But apart from that, those are my thoughts on the episode. Definitely head down and check out the links. If you guys have anything you'd like to say, any questions, anything, leave a comment. If you liked it, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought. And apart from that, subscribe, the whole 9 yards, and head on over and enjoy the reaction.